I have been tagged in this podcast so many times. And I'm like, do I clap back? Do I comment? And then I was like, just waiting for the opportunity to finally get here. So
Kendall,
I'm happy to be here.
Well, let's
we're happy to
fucking
have you.
go. Let's get into it.
Fucking go.
I'm
I
gonna
love
tell
saying
you.
fuck. It's great.
Yeah,
I'm
well,
allowed to do it here.
You can do it
Well,
here.
this is
Yeah.
a free place.
Freedom.
I'm going to be honest with you, Kendall.
Mm-hmm.
First time I saw you, first time I saw your figure, heard your voice, saw my husband pedaling to you, had a little girl on girl hate. I was a little jealous. And I felt like you were trouble. And then...
Keep going.
But then, in all fairness, I did a dive on your socials, and I was like, "Oh, she's a real one. Like you're a real G." And I don't know. I like your story, and I like that you like your dad, and that you, yeah. So, can you tell us a little bit about you and your story?
Yeah, tell us your story. I had no problem with you, but go ahead.
Yeah,
Tell us
you're
what
like-
your thing was.
You're like, I liked you. We're
Well,
fine.
because
I
you're
didn't need to know.
perfect, Kendall, and I like that
Far
you are.
from
You're
it,
so
though.
pretty, and you
you.
should be fitter than the people that are on the bikes. Do you know what I mean? That's why we have a problem with like fat Barbies. Well, that's why I have a problem with fat Barbies. But we'll get into that.
We can get into that. We can get into that.
Tell me your story.
We hate
Yeah.
inclusivity. Go ahead.
So
Inclusivity
much.
is such a fucking joke. No, watch that gets pulled, and I love it. And I'm whatever. Let's go.
fine.
Let's go.
That's fine.
But yeah, so my story essentially, I was super fucking depressed, and nobody would know. And yes, I get it. It's like, okay, here's the pretty white chick who has had all the privilege in the world and barely has a thought that goes through her brain. I get it. I knew how I came off, especially on the bike. And when I got kind of cast for that job, I was like, damn. I am not doing anything to help anybody other than like, oh, look at her. She's that girl on the bike. She knows it. And so, yeah, it was during COVID. And obviously all of us were depressed and locked away. And I was in a studio apartment in New York and racking my head against a wall, right? And I was like, I just need to talk about what I've really been through. And so full story, Cliff Notes version, I was suicidal my senior year of college, almost took my own life. Thank God for moms and dads. And my mom was calling me multiple
But tell
times.
the story. It's interesting.
Yeah. So
this is crazy.
this is wild. So as parents, I will let you know your instincts are totally on point. So I was doing everything great. I went to USC, loved it. Was in
Hard
film
school to get into.
It was a pain in the ass to get into.
Jeez, you're
And I was
smart.
in film and all that. Thank you. Yeah, it was a grind, and still I held it all together. I pretended like everything was good. I was cheering. I was like little Miss Barbie, right? That everybody thought. And my life, like the color was just draining out of the day. Like I would front to everybody I was good, and then behind the scenes, there was nothing. I just felt empty.
But what prompted it? Was it? What do you think?
I think it was a mix of one, growing up in the film industry. Like I was like a total failed kid actor. Thank God in hindsight.
You were.
Oh my God.
So you're
I
going
hung
to
out-
auditions and all that as a kid. There's
all the auditions, all the no's. I've had like grown adults tell me I needed like plastic surgery and a nose job to make it in Hollywood. Hung out with all the Nickelodeon and Disney kids.
No.
Oh yeah.
that was your
glad you-
upbringing.
What?
That was your upbringing.
Yeah,
like
and
around
being
that.
in that environment. But then I had really, thank God, really good parents and a very strong, frightening Italian mother who would threaten to whoop my ass if anything ever changed. So thank God for that, and that helped. But I think I just felt like I had failed. Like I didn't hit this career goal by 18. I did this movie that didn't have the renowned kind of moment that it was supposed to going into college. And I was like, shit, everything I'd worked for myself my whole life, I'm failing. I didn't do it.
You feel like a failure.
Totally. Like full identity crisis. A lot of people have a little bit later in life. I had it like 20. So realizing I was about to graduate college, I had to get a normal job and be a quote unquote normal person. And I failed my dream that I worked so hard for, I think really ate away at me for a long time. And so it was just before Thanksgiving. It'll actually be 9 years this year, which is pretty wild to think about it. But I don't know what got into me. I just was tired of feeling nothing and climbed up to the roof of the building that I lived in. And there was like a fence line above, like because you could be on the roof and whatnot, and climbed over that fence, and was moments before had this flash of like what would happen, like kind of like, I hate to say like a Christmas Carol and like make this sappy, but kind of what would happen to my parents, what the outcome would be.
Yeah.
And I saw out of the corner of my eye, my phone, which I had on silent, was kept lighting up. And I looked, climbed back over. My mom was calling me 15, 16 times in a row. She just knew something was wrong. And we hadn't talked. We hadn't talked for probably 3-4 hours. I pretended everything was fine. I didn't have a plan to do this. I'd had these like thoughts come in for a while.
Jeez.
And I picked up the phone and she's like, "What's wrong?" And I said, "Can you come pick me up?"
Wow.
And then the next 3 months.
Did you tell her when she picked you up?
No.
No.
So I did not tell my parents how bad it really was till years later.
Really?
I was so afraid to tell them how close I was that I was so worried it would end and create a problem for them at a deeper level.
Yeah.
That I just
Did
kept
you
it
get
in.
into counseling right away, or
Yeah.
you did?
Yeah, so this is kind of how I closed up my classes, which like I
Yes.
always say, like they can knock you down, they can never knock you out. So where kind of that whole thing came from was, one, my dad would always say it. When we lived in Atlanta, we had a basement like you do when you're living in Georgia or the South, and he would put a punching bag down there. So I'd always hear like the chains going, and he loved Rocky, all that stuff. So anyway, it kind of became a family motto. But when I came back from school, and I browned out. I don't remember much of it. I was in such a depressed state. I couldn't shower. I couldn't eat. I got pulled out of school. My professors were like, your grades are fine. Like, we're just going to pass you for the semester. You're good. And yeah, my dad came up to my room and said, essentially, kid, like, we're going to have to put you in inpatient. I know you don't want to do that. If we do, it's going to push your graduation date. And I know that you're really scared of pushing that and you want to get out of college. And so he said, look, I need you to get out, get a shower, and start doing the little things. And what's our motto in this family? Like, what do we do? He's like, this can knock you down, but you can't let this knock you out. And I get like emotional every time I say it.
Sure.
And that was the turning point.
It's awesome.
And that was, so what was really cool was when I started teaching fitness and pivoted my career and all that. And I just started closing out all my classes even before Peloton with that phrase. And now
That's
it's
cool.
become, it's so wild.
your
It became the whole
phrase,
thing.
yeah.
Yeah, it's the thing.
But Kendall, I'm sorry,
Go ahead,
one
go ahead,
second.
no, you go
But look at you now, is that you were destined to be a star. And I think that wasn't a right time for you as a child. That would have
No.
been disastrous. And how amazing it is that what is meant for you will come no matter what.
Oh, 100%.
And now look at you. You're about to launch everything, and well, not that you're not already popular, but this is wonderful. So you
Yeah,
made it
there's
there
big steps.
anyway at the right time.
Yeah, and I think it's such a testament to the timing I had for myself. I thought I failed. And the bigger timing, and what really the ultimate plan was, I needed to go through that incredible valley. Like,
Yeah.
why should you have a platform if you're not doing something positive with it?
Yeah.
Especially in like all the noise and all the chaos that is today. It's like, I'm sick of just hearing random people talk about random shit and be famous for nothing.
Yeah.
Like, just tell me something human. So I'm really grateful for the fact that hell created everything that I do now. And so like, I'm in the process of launching my own charity super soon, and I'm really excited about that, and doing more advocacy in mental health, and
Good.
having real conversations and finding the funny in it, because it's such a fucking weird existence, and the duality of it's wild, and we have to, not make it so serious all the time too.
Oh, you just watched a YMH highlight. Did you love it? Why don't you have more fun? Click around. Click here, click there, click everywhere. Put a clicker in your beehole. Look, try it out. Have more fun. Why don't you subscribe? That way, every time a video drops, you can be notified. You don't have to think about it. Just do it, man. You're not going to miss a moment of denim. Pull your jeans up, subscribe.